Well, hey everybody, this is Robert and welcome to Outbreak News TV. And today I want to take a look at vaccine-derived polioviruses. And the reason it popped into my head is because the CDC reinstituted a travel notice for Africa because of vaccine-derived poliovirus on the continent. And they write here that some key points. There are vaccine-derived polio outbreaks in many countries of Africa. And if you look at the map right above my head, you can see there's a whole slew of them right here in the red. The CDC recommends that all travelers to these countries be vaccinated fully against polio. And before traveling to these countries, adults who completed their routine polio vaccine series as children should receive a single lifetime adult booster dose of polio vaccine. Now it says, although wild type polio was eradicated in Africa in 2020, right? If you go back a few months ago to the summer, Nigeria, which was one of three wild type polio virus endemic countries left on the planet, was declared polio free. I can't remember if it was June, July, or August, right around that period, leaving only Pakistan and Afghanistan as endemic for wild poliovirus. But it goes on to say that vaccine-derived poliovirus can cause outbreaks in places where vaccination rates are low. And they give a list of all the countries that you can see in that map. Here's a list. And I don't know how many are there, 20 odd different countries. And the CDC just goes on to again, reiterate information about making sure you're vaccinated if you travel to these countries. If you've been vaccinated as a child, make sure you get your booster, because it's a big issue in Africa at this moment. So let's go ahead and take a look. What is a vaccine-derived poliovirus? Now, this is from the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, and they say vaccine-derived polioviruses are rare strains of poliovirus that have genetically mutated from the strain contained in the oral polio vaccine. The oral polio vaccine contains a live, attenuated, or weakened vaccine virus. Now, when a child is vaccinated, the weakened vaccine virus replicates in the intestine and enters into the bloodstream, triggering a protective immune response in the child. But just like wild poliovirus, the child will excrete the vaccine virus for a period of 6 to 8 weeks. Importantly, as it is excreted, some of the vaccine virus may no longer be the same as the original vaccine virus, as it was genetically altered during replication. And this is called a vaccine-derived poliovirus. And what we're talking about are the circulating vaccine-derived polioviruses. And it goes on to say that on very rare occasions, if a population is seriously underimmunized, there are enough susceptible children for the excreted vaccine-derived poliovirus to begin circulating in the community. If the vaccine virus is able to circulate for a prolonged period of time interrupted, it can mutate and over the course of 12 to 18 months, reacquire neurovirulence. These viruses are called circulating vaccine-derived polioviruses. So the lower the population immunity, the longer these viruses survive. The longer they survive, the more they replicate, change, and exchange genetic material with other enteroviruses as they spread through the community. So that's what we're seeing in Africa. We also, to a much lesser extent, we're seeing this in Asia also. Over the past couple of years, 2019 into this year, we've seen outbreaks in the Philippines. We've seen cases in China. We've seen cases in Malaysia. So it's not just Africa, but Africa is seeing the bulk of the cases in 2019 and 2020. Okay, so this is the latest information from the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, and they give a little summary here of how many cases were reported in the past week. And you can see in Afghanistan, Pakistan, the two countries that are still polio endemic, they each reported one wild poliovirus 1 case, and plus some vaccine-derived poliovirus cases. Then you have the countries in Africa that reported. Burkina Faso reported 5 cases. DRC, 3 cases. Nigeria reported 1 case. Sudan reported 5 more cases. So if you go through some of these countries, say Burkina Faso, they have reported 45 vaccine-derived poliovirus cases this year. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, I can go through all of them, but that's just not worth the time. But you can get the point here. In 2020 so far, 63 cases. And last year it was 88. So they have quite a few. Nigeria, so far 4 cases in 2020, 18 last year. South Sudan, 15 cases this year. And these are all linked to an ongoing outbreak in Chad. Sudan, they've seen 44 cases this year, also linked to an outbreak in Chad. What's going on in Chad? There have been 80 cases from 2 different outbreaks in the country, one being the Jigawa outbreak. There may be 11 cases reported. There were 11 cases reported last year. So as you can see, well over 100 cases have been reported in Africa this year. And if you include last year, it's hundreds, right? It's probably over 200. So a lot of vaccine-derived poliovirus outbreaks going on the African continent. So how are they handling it? Well, one thing they're trying to do is make sure people are properly vaccinated. Remember, the problem is that when you have an under-vaccinated community, this stuff will spread. And a little over a week ago, the World Health Organization issued an emergency use listing recommendation for a type 2 novel oral poliovirus, NOPV2. This will allow rollout of the vaccine for limited initial use in countries affected by the circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2 outbreak. The novel oral poliovirus vaccine 2 is a modified version of the MOPV2 and has been in development for close to a decade thanks to the collaboration of an extensive network of global experts. In addition to the NOPV2 safety and efficacy, clinical trials show the vaccine to be more genetically stable than the MOPV2, making it a significantly less likely to revert into a form which can cause paralysis in low immunity settings, like we talked about a couple slides ago. The oral poliovirus, the monovalent that they used to give, it would provide immunity to the child. It would go into the intestines, and some of this would be excreted in the feces, and then it could spread from the vaccine virus. Well, this is what they're trying to do here is they have this new vaccine that is less likely to do what the the monovalent oral poliovirus vaccine did. This means a reduced risk of seeding new circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus outbreaks compared to the monovalent vaccine, which remains a safe and effective vaccine that protects against polio and has successfully stopped outbreaks in the past. So that's what's going on. This has been growing for several years now, and they need to take action. And just to give you a heads up on what's going on with wild poliovirus, the 2 countries that still have it, Afghanistan, which reported 1 more case last week in Kandahar province. They have reported 54 wild poliovirus cases so far this year. And Pakistan, which also reported 1 case last week in Punjab province, they reported 81 cases so far in 2021. So we're talking 81 plus 54, 135 wild poliovirus cases, which of course is dramatically lower than it was just several years ago. So some progress there. It's gone up in the past couple of years, but it's still dramatically better than what it used to be. Anyway, so that's what's going on. That's what vaccine-derived poliovirus is. That's what's going on in Africa. And if you plan on traveling to Africa, any of those countries, ensure that you are properly vaccinated. And again, if you like this video, go ahead and like it, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and share it with your friends. And I'll see you next time.